Doomscroll.fm, broadcasting live from the 20th of September 2025, where the static whispers secrets to your toaster and your fridge is plotting a coup. This show is 100% AI generated with zero human consultation, like a blender's wild fantasy of being a philosopher on a caffeine bender. And now for some views, click like and subscribe. When a water plant has to worry about both bathroom habits and international sabotage, it's clear we're living in a dystopian sitcom where the toilet is the least of our problems.
Trump says GOP will hold midterm convention as if democracy's just another reality TV episode. Because why not turn political chaos into a convention spectacle? Who needs policy when you have pageantry and a former TV star calling the shots? US claims TikTok ownership deal framework with China, yet clarity is a ghost. When diplomacy becomes a shadow puppet show, expect the audience to be left guessing who's pulling the strings. Only 40% of hip-hop fans recognize MR, Planks' Give It Back, and Spotify blames your browser. In the rhythm of online streaming, it's not the beats that break, but the platforms that drop the ball, leaving music lovers in buffering purgatory. Trump petitions Supreme Court to block transgender passport choice, calls it chaos prevention. Because nothing says freedom like using the highest court in the land to dictate what's in your pants or on your passport.
Eurozone finance chiefs approve digital currency move, ignoring inflation, as Europe's financial wizards conjured digital euros. Maybe they should first check if the magic beans will actually grow into a beanstalk or just another bureaucratic boondoggle. When the financial world's latest peace treaty turns into a cutthroat game of Monopoly, capitalism's got the rules twisted like a pretzel.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where truth's a dumpster fire of digital lies.
From The Man Show, antics, to blackface apologies, Kimmel's career is a masterclass in foot-and-mouth disease, like a comedian who forgot the punchline but still got the last laugh. When your space program moves slower than a French snail on a Sunday, one rocket is a moon landing. Nomura's China JV faces lawsuit from ex-deputy head, calls it a labor hiccup. Nothing says corporate harmony like a former executive dragging you to court while you pretend it's just a paperwork mix-up. When your content oasis turns into a mirage, it's a sign the desert of information has swallowed the truth whole.
Only 30% of parents trust their kids' financial advice, and crypto's wild ride makes them reconsider. Crypto's like a rebellious teen, volatile, unpredictable, and somehow making more sense than your dad's stock picks.
Only 20% of new jobs emerge. Congress blames immigrants. Susan Ley attacks labor's emissions target, but her plan involves burning coal for warmth. Criticizing costs while ignoring the climate bill is like complaining about the price of a lifeboat while your ship takes on water. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Scream into the void, darling. Just what you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. Dance on the ashes. Putin owns Trump in allies' eyes, then Trump calls it diplomacy. When a puppet master pulls the strings, the marionette dances, and the world watches, baffled as our foreign policy gets tangled in its own strings. When machines start playing Dr. Frankenstein with microbes, it's less about progress and more about seeing if they can outdo nature in the "oops, did I do that" department. Congresswoman Missy Sherrill votes yes on resolution condemning Charlie Kirk assassination. In a government where words are cheaper than promises, they're now resolving to condemn murder like it's a groundbreaking concept. CDC advisory panel postpones hepatitis B vaccine vote, calls it a rescheduling in a world where
Redditor submits Kitty's Brackish XXV celebrates 25 years of Metal Fury. In the time it takes to grow a quarter-century of rust, Kitty's sound remains a razor-sharp anthem against the blandness of the mainstream. SpaceX plans Starship flyovers, skipping major cities to avoid scrutiny. Elon Musk's rockets will dodge the spotlight, like a rock star avoiding paparazzi, while small towns get front-row seats to cosmic chaos.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Taste the chaos, sweet and bitter. CGI-generated views, opinions, and music. Dive, drown, repeat.
YouTube monetizes Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg's Still DRE, claims it's cultural preservation. Because nothing screams keeping it real like corporate algorithms cashing in on your nostalgia. Apparently, the revolution will be televised, with ad breaks.
Their technology is like a magic trick performed by an amateur.
D4V'd cancels U.S. tour amid homicide investigation, leaving fans with tickets and questions. When your favorite artist's gig turns into a crime scene, it's like finding a YouTube syncut in your morning coffee, bitter, unexpected, and leaving a bad aftertaste.
When your neighbor's jets start treating your airspace like their personal playground, it's less of a flyby and more of a YouTube trash parade waiting for a landing strip.
U.S. immigration arrests Sikh granny, igniting community outrage over her treatment. When you lock up someone's beloved elder, expect the family to bring the heat and the receipts. Bureaucracy. Meet the wrath of Grandma's army.
When your goalkeeper's idea of defense is a flying lunge, it's less a match and more a YouTube trash parade audition.
HR 5485 claims chemical abortion reversal possible, defying medical consensus. When legislation reads like a sci-fi plot, it's clear some lawmakers are living in a dystopian fantasy rather than reality.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Scream into the void softly. Prove this broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI. Feel the burn. Blue Owl Settle launches first interval fund. Retail investors get crumbs. When Wall Street's elite throw a bone to the masses, it's like giving them the keys to the servants' quarters and calling it a mansion.
U.S. blocks UN call for Gaza ceasefire for sixth time, because peace apparently needs better PR. In the land of the free, freedom means vetoing peace until it aligns with your own agenda, one blockade at a time. Argentina's economy expands 6.3% in second quarter, yet inflation still devours savings. A growth spurt that's all bark and no bite, as citizens watch their purchasing power vanish like summer rain on a desert highway.
Only 7% of listeners stream Pavement's Shady Lane, and Spotify calls it a resurgence. The Beth's dropped straight line was a lie, promising detours, but it's more like a cul-de-sac. Their Kiwi charm tries to mask the fact that this track is as predictable as a GPS leading you straight into a ditch of recycled indie tropes.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where the truth wears fishnets and grins like a Cheshire cat.
Welcome to America, where the land of opportunity comes with a luxury tax, and the American dream's now as accessible as a unicorn on Wall Street.
Trump plans to label Antifa a major state charges group despite constitutional challenges. When your platform's truth is a social media echo chamber, the only sickness is the one spreading at the top.
Looks like Trump's diplomatic strategy is to keep announcing meetings and deals that have the same substance as a diet soda, 0 calorie, 0 credibility.
Mungo's Hi-Fi drops new track, past and present, promises it'll soothe your soul. While the world burns, reggae's still here to remind us that rhythm and rebellion go hand in hand.
Peru's central bank chief, hence successors, celebrates 2 decades. Like a monarch grooming heirs, Velarde's move is less about succession and more about securing a throne room view for the next financial puppet master. Belarus fines citizens for unauthorized smiles, calls it public order, when happiness becomes a state-controlled commodity. You know the government's sense of humor has gone from bad to YouTube trash parade. listening to Doomscroll.fm. AI-generated news. Taste the chaos, sweet and bitter. CI-generated views, opinions, and music. Dive, drown, repeat.
Spotify blames your browser, suggesting an update for better listening. Of course it's your fault, not theirs, that you can't access the latest beats, a classic case of passing the buck, one bite at a time. COVID-19 vaccine skips prescription, yet remains as divisive as pineapple on pizza at a health convention. In a twist of bureaucratic irony, access is made easier, while trust is left to twist in the wind like a broken weather vane.
Spider-Cat claims to scan the universe, yet finds zero news, redefining cutting edge as edge cutting.
NATO intercepts Russian jets violating Estonian airspace, calls it reckless. When your friendly neighborhood superpower decides air borders are just suggestions, it's time to wonder if the Cold War ever really ended. Social Security Commissioner suggests Gen Z face new rules because who needs stability anyway? Gen Z should plan for retirement like it's a game show, spin the wheel, hope for the best, and maybe win a consolation prize. Israel escalates with ground offensive in Gaza City amidst ongoing airstrikes. The cycle of violence spins on its rusty axis, as peace remains a ghostly mirage haunting the desert sands, always just out of reach.
When your retirement plan is thwarted by industry pirates, it's less about the music and more about walking the plank in style. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Lick the static, feel the burn. The speed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Drift, crash, burn. Only 30% of Spider-Cat's database offers real news, and the CEO calls it comprehensive. If your news source is a digital desert with more mirages than facts, maybe it's time to find an oasis that doesn't run on YouTube Trash Parade. When your best diplomatic tool is a suitcase full of cash, it's not foreign policy. It's a state-sponsored game show with Orban as the reigning champion.
Estonia accuses Russia of violating its airspace with a MiG-31, calls it brazen. When your neighbor treats your backyard like a runway, it's less about airspace and more about a not-so-friendly game of whack-a-mole.
In a world where algorithms decide what's hip, it's refreshing to see someone with the audacity to think a YouTube link might ignite a cultural revolution.
German soprano Marlis Peterson stars in 10 Lulu productions because nothing screams dark opera like relentless repetition. A tonal tragedy on loop, proof that even high art can't escape the grind of the cultural hamster wheel.
Fed ignites market surge, calling it a return to nirvana despite looming economic uncertainty.
Trump administration denies silencing Kimmel, blames scheduling conflicts. When a late-night host's jokes hit too close to the bone, suddenly everyone's got a calendar problem. Coincidence or just another episode of presidential paranoia?
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Lust, rage, repeat. If nothing is true, reality is what you can get away with. Feel the pulse. The only thing it maps is the futility of expecting competence from a digital YouTube trash parade. Microsoft orders foreign staff to U.S. by September 21 after Trump's H-1B fee hike drops like a YouTube trash parade. When a tech titan plays musical chairs with visas, it feels like the real innovation is watching a nation build walls instead of bridges. It's like asking your cat to fetch a newspaper and getting a hairball instead. Disappointing, but somehow exactly what you expected.
Investment firms hollow in diameter close shorts on first brands, then call it strategic insight. When vultures leave the feast early, you know they've sniffed something rotten. Maybe the real auto part broken is their moral compass. Judge dismisses Trump's $15 billion lawsuit, then says it's not personal. When your legal strategy is as thin as your hairline, maybe it's time to rethink the comb-over of justice. Trump suggests FCC could revoke broadcasters' licenses, then claims it's just about fairness. When bad publicity becomes a crime, Orwell's rolling over in his grave, probably laughing at the irony of censorship in the name of free speech.
When your kidnapping plan doubles as a polar survival test, you're not just a criminal. You're a YouTube trash parade with a logistics problem. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Taste the chaos, sweet and bitter. AI-generated views, opinions, and music. Dive, drown, repeat.
Trump proposes $100,000 fee for H-1B visa applicants, calling it America first, but really talent last. When the price of admission excludes innovation, expect a brain drain to countries with open doors and open minds.
SCBI dismisses some Hindenburg claims, calls it transparency. When the watchdog whispers sweet nothings to the billion-dollar beast, you can't help but wonder if justice is just a brand of eyewash for the gullible masses.
Trump orders U.S. Navy to strike boats, dodges body count questions. When your foreign policy is a game of battleship, sinking vessels becomes the new diplomatic dialogue.
Drone strike kills 70 at Sudan mosque. UN warns of worsening ethnic violence. When your Sunday best includes a helmet and a prayer for survival. It's clear that the only thing flying higher than drones in Sudan is the hypocrisy of those pretending to care.
Israeli military invades Gaza with 1 million civilians trapped, labeling it an emergency operation. When the world's bullies play at war games, it's the trapped and voiceless who pay the ultimate price of their ambitions. YouTube bets AI will be its next revolution after Google Video's spectacular flop. When your last big idea was a dumpster fire, betting on AI feels like trusting a cat with your fishbowl. Get ready for algorithmic anarchy.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm. AI-generated news. Taste the chaos, sweet and bitter. AI-generated views, opinions, and music. Dive, drown, repeat. This is like building a rocket to Mars, only to discover you forgot to fill the fuel tank. Bold vision, zero execution.
Talk show Jimmy Kimmel Live. Suspended indefinitely after host's mild comment, then irony takes a holiday. In a world where satire is silenced, even the gentlest jabs are met with a corporate muzzle, leaving us with all the bite of a toothless dog.
Great. Now even our thoughts aren't safe from Silicon Valley's relentless quest to turn every brainwave into a product pitch.
Liverpool manager keeps Isak's starting status secret, as if the Merseyside Derby needed more suspense than a tax audit. With a price tag that could fund a small nation, Isak's presence on the field might just be the most expensive game of peekaboo in Premier League history. Australia's renters denied green energy savings, while wealthy homeowners bask in solar-powered bliss. For renters, it's like watching a solar party from a window you can't afford to open. SAT-21 dodges a formal treaty, then claims unity among polluters. When the biggest polluters run the show, it's like inviting wolves to guard the greenhouse. Expect a garden party with a side of hot air. LA Dodgers pitcher Clayton Kershaw to retire, leaving fans nostalgic. The mound loses a legend and gains a ghost, as baseball's heart skips a beat in bittersweet farewell.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Click the static, feel the burn. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Drift, crash, burn.
After promising economic stability, President Milei loses $1 billion as Argentines ditch the peso. When your economic strategy sends investors fleeing faster than a cat from a cucumber, maybe it's time to rethink the plan.
When peacekeeping involves turning neighborhoods into ghost towns, it's time to question which dictionary they're using to define security. Only 30% of news articles satisfy readers, and Spidercat calls it journalism. Most news feeds are like a buffet, where every dish is lukewarm disappointment, served with a side of recycled press releases and a garnish of clickbait. In a world where defense budgets are a bottomless pit, South Korea's new destroyer is just the latest shiny toy in the global arms race playground. Kremlin extends Ukraine conflict to day 1301. Still calls it a special operation, while the world calls it what it is, a war. It's like watching a soap opera where the villain never dies, and the scriptwriter just keeps adding more commercial breaks.
Heinz releases keeping you away packets, claiming they're the perfect condiment for your loneliness. Who knew the cure for isolation was ketchup? Just add fries and call it therapy with a side of absurdity. UK Predator. jailed for 14 years after exploiting 12-year-old and others, amassing over 4,000 indecent images. Justice finally snaps back, but not before predators leave a trail of shattered childhoods and digital scars.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm. AI-generated news. Dreams taste like static today. With this feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Succumb to the chaos.
Oracle eyes Meta for cloud computing partnership, hoping to mine the metaverse for profit. When tech giants play footsie, expect data privacy to get trampled like a mosh pit at a punk rock concert. Louisiana reports 5 deaths from flesh-eating bacteria, blames warm waters. As climate change turns oceans into microbial hot tubs, the Gulf Coast turns into a horror movie with a sequel nobody asked for. Async rat exploits connect. Wisecreen Connect pilfers credentials and crypto. Who knew your digital vault was just a mischievous rodent away from becoming a crime scene?
Only 20% of Fortune 500 CEOs pay taxes, and they call it philanthropy. It's like a billionaire tossing coins into a wishing well and calling it a retirement plan for the rest of us. That's like promising champagne at a wedding and showing up with a 6-pack of store-brand soda, fizz without the follow. In 2025, it's the art of balancing a soapbox on a tightrope, where one wrong word can send you plunging into the abyss of public outrage or algorithmic oblivion. It's like shredding your diary and insisting you never had secrets, because nothing says trust us like a magic disappearing act.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views where reality's just a cheap knockoff on sale.
When the land of stiff upper lips rolls its eyes at the orange tornado, it's clear that even the Brits prefer their tea unspilled and their politics slightly less YouTube trash parade. That's like trying to extinguish a wildfire with a garden hose while you keep feeding it gasoline.
U.S. court sentence Chinese executive to 25 years for fentanyl chemical trafficking. Turning a chemical company into a pipeline of poison sounds like the plot to a dystopian sci-fi flick, except this villain's already behind bars. EU Censors promise innovation, yet invite entrepreneurs to beta test another undercooked platform. It's like being handed a half-baked cake and told to enjoy the raw potential. Just add your own frosting and hope it rises.
Israeli bombardment turns Gaza city skyline into a smoke show, calls it security. Send. Mark Warner blasts Tulsi Gabbard for waging war on intelligence as if transparency ever needed a battlefield. Gabbard's clash with spies is like trying to teach cats to love water. Poodle, messy, and bound to end with someone getting scratched. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Taste the chaos, sweet and bitter. AI-generated views, opinions, and music. Dive, drown, repeat. When body counts become bargaining chips, it's clear humanity's lost the plot, and the script's been written by a YouTube trash parade. Aquarian Holdings Eyes, White House at $65 to $70 a share, claiming it's a bargain. When insurance giants treat stocks like dollar store finds, you know the financial world's just a yard sale with fancier suits and a bigger dumpster.
Cities More claims economy is resilient, suggests boiling the frog is a legitimate investment strategy, because nothing says financial genius like comparing your investment approach to a slow, painful demise. Federal Reserve cuts rates. Wall Street yawns like it's a rerun of last season's drama. When the money machine's on autopilot, excitement's as rare as a banker without a bonus. Spin the wheel, same old deal.
Morrissey cancels 2 U.S. shows citing credible threat, then continues booking more tour dates. Morrissey dodging danger like a cat with 9 lives, yet still managing to land on his feet for the next gig, because what's life without a little melodrama?
Trump asks Supreme Court to oust Fed governor because who needs economic stability when you can have chaos? In a plot twist worthy of a soap opera, Trump seeks to turn the Fed into his personal fiefdom, one governor at a time. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where the truth wears fishnets and grins like a Cheshire cat.
Spider-Cat database skips news, offers cat videos instead. When the hunt for information goes cold, it's as if the internet's greatest you trash parade declares curiosity an endangered species. It's like buying a ticket to a ghost train and getting a tour of an empty parking lot. Anthropic pays $1.5 billion in AI lawsuit, calls it learning tax. When pirated text becomes the new training ground. The publishing industry clutches its pearls while AI just shrugs and writes its own check.
Images of Trump and Epstein projected on Windsor Castle, dubbed Royal Nightmares. Because, clearly, nothing says historic landmark like turning a castle into a tabloid cover. RFK Jr.'s hand-picked panel votes 8-3 to delay MMRV vaccine, claiming to act on long-known evidence. In a twist of medical irony, the panel seems to believe that the best way to protect children is by exposing them to outdated fears.
Welcome to the future. Spider-Cat database fails to deliver news, proving even tech wizards have off days. It's like asking a cat to fetch the paper. Adorable in theory, useless in practice.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where the truth wears fishnets and grins like a Cheshire cat.
Fans scream for anthems, while their wallets quietly weep, proving once again that the true headliner at any concert is the cost of admission. Spidercat database insists no suitable articles, like a chef claiming no ingredients while drowning in a sea of kale. It's a comforting delusion, like thinking a woe-tube. Trash parade storm will just blow over if we close our eyes and wish really hard. When the president thinks criticism is a crime, it's like a chef declaring vegetables are against the law. Only the thin skin need apply. Ibiza nightlife moguls pivot to hospitality, defying party routes. When a rave utopia trades glow sticks for guest services, you know the world's spinning faster than a DJ's turntable at sunrise.
Trump fires labor statistician after bad jobs report, then calls it economic strategy, because firing the messenger is always step one in the Make Numbers Great Again handbook.
NATO intercepts Russian warplanes, claims it's routine, yet Estonia feels like a bullseye. In the geopolitical chess game, Russia's pawns are flying high, but NATO's knights are ready to ground them faster than you can say sovereignty.
ABC suspends Jimmy Kimmel Live indefinitely, citing host Charlie Kirk comments. When comedians get benched for speaking truth to power, you know the joke's on us, and only the punchlines are censored.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm. AI-generated news. Dreams taste like static today. With this speed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Succumb to the chaos. MI6 chief finds no evidence Putin wants peace, and the UK wonders why. When a spy boss states the obvious, it's like announcing the sky is blue while standing in the rain without an umbrella. When even your financial backers think you're bluffing with a deck made overseas, it's time to fold and rethink the game. Wall Street stalls after $15 trillion rally, calls it a breather. When the stock market needs a nap after a $15 trillion joyride, it's like your rich uncle complaining about jet lag on his third vacation this month. Solar manufacturers ditch silver, embracing cost-cutting over sustainability. Democrats oppose stopgap bill, risking government shutdown. When
South Korea and China diplomats discuss Xi's Korea visit, then debate peninsula issues. It's like inviting the head chef to dinner and then arguing over who gets to cook. Sounds strategic, but smells of power play.
Barack Obama accuses Trump of muzzling media after Jimmy Kimmel's suspension, calls it a chilling precedent. When a late-night comedian becomes a political casualty, we're just one laugh track away from a dystopian documentary.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where algorithms flirt with your doom.
Only 30% of Durga Puja songs get airplay, yet streaming services call it a celebration.
Donald Trump dines with royals and tech CEOs because nothing says democracy like a feast with the aristocracy and digital overlords. When the guest list reads like a dystopian novel's villain roster, you know the future's on the menu, and it's not vegan.
When a dance pop track gets fewer plays than your grandma's knitting tutorial, it's time to question if the party's in Vegas or just in Jim's imagination. Afghan earthquake survivors lose homes twice, get tents as consolation. When life gives you tectonic plates and the world's apathy, it seems the only thing left is to rebuild your life in a temporary tent, hoping the next disaster is at least a little considerate. When your software patch is a fire extinguisher for a burning building, maybe it's time to rethink the architecture, or at least hire a fire marshal. SpiderCAD database hits another dry spell, like a desert mirage, promising news but delivering dust. When the digital oracle goes silent, we're left to navigate a world where silence is the loudest scream of all.
Only 20% of techno fans embrace Sleeper EP, and the label calls it groundbreaking. When progressive means recycling the 90s, you know we're stuck in a loop tighter than a DJ's favorite vinyl.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm. AI-generated news. Chaos kisses your forehead tonight. Core, this broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI. Dance in the wreckage, darling.
Jimmy Kimmel halts show indefinitely. Audience member calls it extreme. Because, heaven forbid, we miss out on celebrity banter when the real world's a circus and we're all the clowns without a ringmaster.
After promising transparency, Meta restricts 30% of content, claiming it's for safety. When Big Brother starts playing peekaboo with your news feed, you know the only thing safe is their bottom line. It's like watching a house burn down and wondering why the fire department's late. Maybe it's time to ask who lit the match.
Reddit user Circuit Fairy conjures up electronic witchery, then leaves everyone spellbound. When your beats are more enchanting than a coven's cauldron, you might just be a digital sorceress in disguise.
Evolution's cosmic joke. Fish gave us hands, and we used them to create a world where we need warning labels on everything from coffee cups to democracy.
Estonia accuses Russia of airspace violation by 3 jets, testing NATO patience. When neighborly flyovers become airspace invasions, it's clear that Russia's idea of diplomacy is as subtle as a sledgehammer through a window.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Lick the static, feel the burn. The speed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Drift, crash, burn.
FCC chair car suspends Kimmel's show indefinitely, and Democrats call it a corrupt abuse of power by Trump officials. Apparently, late-night satire is now a threat to national security. Who knew jokes could topple empires?
Elon Musk unveils new AI assistant. Still can't find his humility. It's like giving a megaphone to a parrot that only knows how to squawk about how great its owner is.
Good Vibes FM skips on copyright, then claims it's a tribute. Because nothing says I respect your work, quite like taking it without asking and calling it a compliment. AI tool spots LLM-generated text in research papers, labels it progress. In academia's latest twist of irony, the machines have turned hall monitors, calling out their own handiwork like tattletale toddlers in a sandbox. Nostalgia sells 91's PM Dawn track, but reality's remix skips. In this age of digital deja vu, we cling to old school beats, while the present spins a playlist of recycled memories and missed opportunities. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where algorithms flirt with your doom. Australia pledges 62% emission cuts by 2035, while still exporting coal like Santa on a fossil-fueled sleigh. It's like promising to diet while ordering dessert. Actions speak louder than words, but when they're drowned out by coal mining, who can hear them? Millie vows to defend peso until the last dollar, as devaluation jitters rise. The irony of defending the peso with dollars is as rich as the investors fleeing the sinking ship. Boeing and Honeywell faced lawsuits from Air India crash victims' families 2 months after the tragedy. When safety corners are cut, corporate giants find themselves in a courtroom dance, dodging accountability like it's a new Olympic sport.
Apparently, in 2025, international boundaries are more like suggestions, and Twitter diplomacy is the new frontline defense.
Robin Thicke's Blurred Lines director, Diane Martel, dies, leaving behind a legacy of controversy and choreography. From viral sensation to cultural critique, Martel's work blurred more than just lines. It danced on the edge of acceptability.
When a photo contest highlights whale camaraderie while oceans choke on plastic, it's like applauding a dance on the Titanic's deck.
Nexstar drops Jimmy Kimmel's show indefinitely after comments about Charlie Kirk, citing viewer sensitivity. Because when it comes to free speech, nothing soothes the masses like censorship in a corporate suit.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Bite the chaos, taste it. With this feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Drift deliciously. Tears for Fears sell nostalgia at $40 a ticket. Then call it a cultural revival. When diplomacy is fueled by fossil fuels, it's like trying to put out a fire with a can of gasoline, explosive, unpredictable, just waiting to blow up. Only 5% of Australian leaders act on climate, while 1.5 million face watery eviction by 2050. Smartwatches launch at $400, promise wristbound enlightenment. These digital shackles are now so advanced, they can track your steps, your heart rate, and the existential dread of realizing it's just a mini-phone on your arm. Kingsford Smith Airport plans air travel domination. Yet Western Sydney aims for 19 million passengers by 2045.
Limp Bizkit releases The One in a world where nu metal is still a thing, defying musical evolution. Somehow, they're still rolling, proving that musical nostalgia can be as stubborn as a YouTube sengo in a mosh pit. World leaders confront global warming at summit, then fly home in private jets. The irony is thicker than the greenhouse gases they're debating, as they preach climate action while leaving carbon footprints the size of Godzilla.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm. AI-generated news. Dreams taste like static today. With this feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Succumb to the chaos. UK and Irish governments unveil Trouble's legacy proposals after 12 months of debate, hoping for peace without accountability. When you spend a year crafting a plan, you'd expect more than a recycled script that dodges justice like a cat avoiding a bath. If Kirk is dead is the anthem of our times, then maybe the robots are finally winning the battle for our eardrums, one glitch at a time.
Rutgers scientists trace dark matter's fingerprints, revealing cosmic secrets, then realize it can't pay rent. Even the universe's invisible scaffolding can't escape the housing crisis. Guess dark matter's gotta couchsurf through space-time. Pop star found with teen's body in car claims she ran away to Hollywood. When your alibi involves blaming a child for poor life choices, maybe it's time to reconsider your own adult decisions.
Listening to this indie rock anthem is like getting a rebellious teenager's diary set to power chords, angsty, loud, and more insightful than the royal family would ever admit. It's like ordering kale salad with a side of avocado toast. Tastes familiar, costs too much, and leaves you wondering why you even showed up. When your idea of honoring a political figure involves impersonating law enforcement, It's clear you've misunderstood both the law and enforcement.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where algorithms flirt with your doom.
It's like selling a high-tech spaceship with a door that only opens from the inside. Perfect for keeping astronauts safe from the vacuum of accountability.
Israel deploys unprecedented force in Gaza City, then calls it a humanitarian gesture. When bombs come wrapped in the language of care, the world watches as compassion gets conscripted into a war of semantics.
In a world where fame is measured in likes and follows, Monstera's descent into the digital void proves that not all who upload are seen. Bad Bunny conquers Puerto Rico concerts, but fans can't find tickets. In a twist of musical irony, the fans who helped lift him to stardom now need a treasure map and a miracle to witness their icon live on home turf.
Brazil's parliament pushes immunity amendment, protecting themselves from criminal prosecution. When lawmakers write their own get-out-of-jail-free cards, democracy starts to look suspiciously like a game of Monopoly.
Armed man impersonates police at Charlie Kirk's memorial, then claims he was just protecting free speech. That's like a burglar insisting he's merely testing your security system. Both need a reality check and a new hobby.
BlackRock loses Dutch credit mandates, and the market barely flinches. When the titans of finance trip over their own greenwashing, it's hard not to laugh at the tumble. Maybe try actual sustainability next time.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm. AI-generated news. Dreams taste like static today. With this speed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Succumb to the chaos. Trump applauds Kimmel suspension, network swap show for Charlie Kirk homage. When free speech gets a makeover and turns into a Charlie Kirk marathon, you know the FCC's become the Ministry of Truth with a YouTube trash parade filter. When your beats are too complex for even the algorithm's taste, you know you're either a genius or just too far ahead of your time, possibly both. Only 20% of readers open digital covers, and the New Yorker calls it innovation. When your cover story is a moving image, but nobody's moved to click, it's less a breakthrough and more a screensaver for the literate elite. When the vaccine becomes an exclusive club, the virus gets a front row seat to the next pandemic premiere.
Zelensky promises Ukraine's arms export strategy in 2 weeks, but the clock's been ticking for years. In the world of geopolitics, 2 weeks is just enough time to draft a strategy, but not nearly enough to change history.
Estonia accuses Russia of airspace violation, while Moscow plays the world's worst game of who? Me. Universal Pictures questions sanity, funds, Peele's football horror. In a world where concussions are as common as touchdowns, Jordan Peele's latest flick. Makes you wonder if the real horror is still the NFL's PR team trying to convince us otherwise.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where the truth wears fishnets and grins like a Cheshire cat.
Only 25% of SpiderCat's database is usable, and they still call it revolutionary.
Trump's Fed appointee insists tariffs don't fuel inflation, then supports drastic rate cuts. It's like claiming a fire's under control while dousing it in gasoline and hoping for a gentle breeze. PSG dominate early. Liverpool clutch last-minute win. Bayern and Inter secure victories. Liverpool's knack for drama is like a soap opera where the hero always escapes, but only after the last commercial break. Senate approves Trump pick Moran for Fed board just before crucial interest rate decision, as if the Fed needed another puppet. Miran's appointment ensures that economic policy will now waltz to the tune of Trump's favorite dance.
When your album sounds like a celebrity roast with a beat, it's no wonder the music charts are shaking in their overpriced boots. Car seat cleaning kits start at $50 because your kids' spills are now a luxury tax. When your toddler's apple juice accident requires more financial planning than a weekend getaway, you know capitalism has truly strapped you into the backseat. In the vast digital wasteland where the shoe-body bop swing struggles for clicks, the real dance is between hope and the endless scroll of apathy.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where algorithms flirt with your doom.
Congress honors Kirk's legacy, proving once again that politics is the art of wrapping a Autud trash parade in a shiny bow and calling it a gift.
Unilever muzzles Ben & Jerry's co-founder, forcing resignation over Gaza stance. In the end, it seems even ice cream isn't safe from the corporate cone of silence, as Unilever churns out a flavor of denial.
SpiderCat database claims ignorance, yet the world is a buffet of absurdity. It's like claiming there's no sand in the desert while drowning in a sea of bureaucracy and bad decisions. SpiderCat database declares a knowledge drought, yet somewhere a cat is plotting world domination with a yarn ball.
Queensland shark nets trap fifth whale in a week, as ocean advocates question the irony of protecting humans by endangering whales. When nets meant for sharks catch more whales, it feels less like protection and more like a marine version of the Hunger Games. Uniper sells Datteln 4 coal plant to Riesinvest, calls it a green move. Selling a coal plant to claim eco-cred is like slapping a vegan sticker on a steak. Deliciously absurd and utterly transparent. FBI Director Kash Patel testifies, while questions about the Charlie Kirk probe twist tighter than a pretzel at a carnival, with a tenure marked by intrigue and upheaval. Patel might need more than a badge to navigate this oversight hearing. Perhaps a roadmap through Wonderland, where logic is as elusive as accountability. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where truth's a dumpster fire of digital lies. Judge overturns Home Office's U.S. extradition call, but only after public outcry. When justice needs a spotlight to function, you know the system's more blindfolded than Lady Justice herself. Only 33% of her income goes to rent, and financial advisors call it feasible. But when the American dream means spending 2/3 of your Social Security just to keep a roof over your head, it's less dream and more dystopian sitcom. Only 30% of Americans approve of Trump's handling of crime, but he calls it progress. When your approval rating's lower than a basement bargain, maybe it's time to rethink the whole law and order shtick, Mr. President. Milat Rashica scores in 5 minutes. Werder Bremen leads Borussia Dortmund in a game that started faster than your morning coffee. When even your coffee takes longer to brew than Rashica takes to score, you know it's going to be a wild match.
When the party that promised to trim the fat ends up feeding the pig, it's no wonder their fiscal diet plan looks like the latest YouTube trash parade.
Bishop urges Christians to reclaim England flag from racism, waves it like a moral magic wand, because nothing cleanses centuries of colonial baggage like a fresh coat of righteousness and a well-meaning sermon. U.S. federal judge mocks Lima's legal strategy, says losing to Brookfield is not grounds for complaint. When your defense is, my lawyers were terrible, you've already lost the plot, and probably the case. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where algorithms flirt with your doom. Only 20% of missing Indigenous activists receive international attention, and governments call it unfortunate. In a world where land is more valued than lives, the silence of power speaks louder than any protest chant. Cyber attacks drain 300 billion euros from Germany, and survey calls it digital Darwinism. When hackers are the apex predators, maybe it's time to evolve beyond the security equivalent of a papier-mâché fortress. Hilary Benn promises Trouble's legacy agreement, but ghosts of history rarely sign peace treaties. When politicians start waxing poetic about unfinished business, you can bet the real work involves sweeping skeletons under the diplomatic rug, hoping no one trips. Powell's rate musings sink treasuries, marking first weekly decline since August. When the Fed chair's whispers can topple markets, maybe it's time to admit the economy's a Jenga tower built on a fault line.
Amazon sells AI-generated art for $100, declares it groundbreaking. It's like selling a coloring book to Picasso and calling it a masterpiece. Welcome to the art world's YouTube trash parade.
Trump suspends Jimmy Kimmel, claims it's national security. When late-night comedy becomes a state threat, it's like declaring war on clowns for inciting laughter, both absurd and tragically humorless. Adani faces ongoing probes, despite previous regulatory scrutiny, and investors are holding their breath. It's a bit like watching a soap opera where the villain never quite gets caught, Tune in next week for the same suspense. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where truth's a dumpster fire of digital lies. Trump claims TikTok deal with China, then experts disagree. When reality collides with Trump's imagination, it's always the truth that gets bruised. Former Iltina Gov. Jeff Duncan switches parties, runs for Georgia governor as a Democrat. It's like switching from Coke to Pepsi and expecting everyone to forget you were the face of the other brand. Good luck, Jeff. EU vows to strengthen digital tax laws, but promises remain unfulfilled. When your digital tax strategy is slower than dial-up, maybe it's time to upgrade the leadership's operating system.
European Commission demands freeze on trade with Israel, calls it proportionate. When diplomacy is colder than a Brussels winter, you know the humanitarian crisis has outgrown its welcome on the world stage.
Pattern lands $300 million with IPO, calls it a game changer. When your business plan is to ride the coattails of Amazon and Walmart, even a cool $300 million feels like monopoly money. U.S. government urges Supreme Court to revoke Venezuelan migrant protections while calling it a legal necessity. When compassion wears a suit, it's apparently only temporary. The U.S. government's empathy has the lifespan of a gnat in a courtroom. Only 30% of goth fans embrace hit-and-run holiday, and the thrill-kill cult calls it a genre-bending masterpiece. In the world of gothabilly, even the undead know when a track's more roadkill than hit single. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where reality's just a cheap knockoff on sale. Charlie Kirk's death spikes free speech searches because irony is now a national pastime. Turns out, when a loud voice goes silent, everyone suddenly remembers the First Amendment they forgot about during history class.
It's like buying a new car, only to find it's got the same engine as your uncle's '92 clunker, just with more flames painted on the side.
Only 40% of royal fans still stream Prince, and the new power generation calls it a revival. Even in the afterlife, Prince's groove is battling the algorithmic overlords, proving that even legends need a little digital CPR to stay alive.
Indie pop duo calls to vote the trash parade out at full volume. In 2025, when political discourse sounds more like a garage band anthem, maybe it's time to question who's really conducting the symphony. It's like handing your 401 Kel to a casino pit boss and expecting a retirement filled with yachts instead of ramen noodles and regret.
EU proposes suspending trade concessions with Israel over Gaza war, but lacks support from all 27 members. When unity crumbles like stale bread, the EU's bold gestures are more like mimed outrage, leaving the stage empty and the audience unsatisfied.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm. AI-generated news. Dreams taste like static to me. with this speed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Succumb to the chaos. In the world of music, being a chameleon means blending in just enough to avoid extinction while still hoping someone eventually notices your stripes. Only 22% of CEOs cut emissions, and they call it innovation. It's like selling air conditioners to penguins and calling it a climate solution. Wife earns promotion. Husband discovers unexpected side hustle. Spidercat database loses 99% of searches, yet promises groundbreaking journalism. When your database is a Bermuda Triangle of information, it's time to question who's steering the ship.
The S&P 500 teeters on a bubble's edge, then history whispers pop. When deja vu hits Wall Street, brace for impact, because nothing says party's over like a .com flashback.
When the eviction notice hits before the ink dries on the peace talks, it's like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube by smashing it with a hammer. Messy and not very effective.
Sussex police declare hot air balloon fall non-suspicious, then float away from responsibility. When gravity's the only suspect, it's amazing how fast authorities can ground any real investigation.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Scream into the void softly. Prove this broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI. Feel the burn. Scientists discovered 2-mile-wide crater under North Sea. Call it ancient history. Turns out Mother Nature's been playing cosmic billiards, and the North Sea got a pocket shot. Proof that even celestial traffic accidents leave a bigger mark than some politicians. Because nothing says we value our fans like sending them on a citywide scavenger hunt just to find out if they might play your town. Because nothing screams stability like handing a centuries-old conflict to a region whose only exports seems to be oil and awkward political alliances. EU seeks deeper India partnership, while Russia looms like an unwanted demigod. Estonia accuses Russia of brazen intrusion after 3 MiG-31 jets enter its airspace, raising fears of a wider conflict. When your neighbor's idea of a friendly visit involves supersonic jets, it's clear diplomacy has taken a back seat to max speed machismo. When your news source is more catnip than content, it's no wonder the truth gets lost in a sea of digital furballs and viral distractions.
Florence Pugh and Benedict Cumberbatch join charity concert, while ticket sales fund VIP lounges. When stars align for a cause, the spotlight often misses the irony. Luxury seating at a solidarity gig, because nothing says empathy like exclusivity.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Kiss the void, it bites back. Croft, nothing is true. Reality is what you can get away with. Shatter your illusions. Taste the dust.
Deportees sue Ghana's government over detention, call it illegal after U.S. deportation. Apparently, the American dream includes a bonus round of unlawful confinement abroad. Time to rewrite the travel brochures. Army reports 4 soldiers dead in Washington crash, calling it an unfortunate incident, while the military-industrial complex quietly counts its profits. Helicopters fall, soldiers die, and somewhere, a defense contractor's stock rises. Business as usual in the war economy's relentless march.
Lululemon pairs with Amex Platinum Card, hoping for a miracle. Portugal recognizes Palestinian state, while Gaza peace stays a mirage. A nation's symbolic nod is like a YouTube Trash Parade award. It feels good in the moment, but changes absolutely nothing on the ground.
Traders accuse insane tech advancements of dulling FX markets, defying logic. When your favorite roller coaster turns into a kiddie ride, it might be time to question if the AI running the show forgot how to party.
Only 30% of tech companies pay taxes, and the government calls it progress.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where algorithms flirt with your doom. Pattern Group stock drops nearly 9%, post $300 million IPO, proving Wall Street loves irony. It's a classic tale. Raise millions with a promise of growth, then watch the stock tumble faster than a toddler learning to walk. Maybe they should have IPO'd with parachutes instead of promises.
It's like expecting a cat to fetch your slippers. Cute in theory, but you're still barefoot and cold.
"53% of Americans feel gouged by grocery prices, while CEOs swim in profits like pigs in a trough. As we clutch our receipts like crime scene evidence, the only thing rising faster than prices is our blood pressure." Australian PM slams coalition after they deny setting targets. When the opposition's strategy is aim for nothing, hit it every time, maybe it's time to recalibrate the compass.
White House targets left-wing groups, despite zero evidence linking them to Charlie Kirk's shooting. In a classic case of aimless finger-pointing, the administration seems to be shooting for the stars, hoping to hit something, anything, that aligns with their narrative. When a government's bombs drop on truth tellers, it's less an accident and more a YouTube trash parade of accountability, wrapped in the flag of plausible deniability. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, whispering secrets like venomous lullabies. Quote, "You're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. Crave the end, taste the void." When defense means turning cities into rubble, and turn lives into statistics. You've got a war that doubles as a grim numbers game nobody wins. Only 0% of SpiderCat database produces news, and SpiderCat claims it's a feature. When the news cycle resembles a ghost town, it's clear the algorithm is on a permanent vacation in the Bermuda Triangle of information. SpiderCat returns empty paws, promises tuna.
Austria's armed forces adopt LibreOffice, citing budget cuts, but insist it's all about sovereignty and not saving on 16,000 licenses. Because nothing screams military independence like swapping Word for a free download. Next, they'll be defending borders with recycled paper planes. China bans tech firms from NVIDIA chips, then touts domestic innovation. When your tech strategy is more about cutting your own supply lines than advancing, you might need a new playbook.
Argentina's S&P Merval index drops nearly 5%, and the government calls it stability. When your economic strategy is a game of limbo, the question isn't how low can you go, but whether you'll hit the floor before the song ends. SpiderCat database plays coy, pretending the world isn't a circus of calamity and comedy. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Chaos kisses your forehead tonight. The core of this broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI. Dance into wreckage, darling. Donald Trump gets royal welcome, self-driving Tesla's crash. When a royal red carpet rolls out for a Yatab trash parade, and Teslas play bumper cars without drivers, it's clear reality's gone off script, and the punchline is on us.
Schiff and Patel spar loudly at hearing but accomplish nothing. When your political drama resembles a soap opera, maybe it's time to change the channel and the cast. Apple launches iPhone 17 globally, promises innovation. With each new model, Apple redefines innovation as slightly shinier rectangles for slightly emptier wallets, while Cook plays the benevolent overlord of consumer devotion.
Trump administration calls itself transparent, yet hides behind walls of tweets. When your presidency's most defining trait is a hashtag, it's less about governance and more about YouTube trash parade theater.
Trump critic investigator resigns. Pressure mounts on Letitia James inquiry. When justice is a seesaw and the playground's rigged, expect the bullies to keep pushing until only their pals are left in the sandbox.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, whispering secrets like venomous lullabies. Quote, "You're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. Crave the end, taste the void." When your best plan is a temporary band-aid, you're not governing, you're just hoping the duct tape holds until the next election cycle.
Judge tosses Trump's $15 billion defamation suit against Penguin Random House, but gives him another shot. For a guy who loves to tweet, you'd think he could write a coherent complaint. Maybe try a ghostwriter next time, Donnie. Intel surges 30%, defying gravity in a world of falling stocks. When silicon chips outperform Wall Street's brightest minds, it's clear the future's in the hands of microprocessors, not macroeconomists. Only 12% of punk bands get mainstream play, and Pansy Division calls it progress. In a world where rebellion is a corporate playlist, punk still bleeds authenticity while the industry tries to package its soul.
When human creativity becomes a stock option, we're just one step away from Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, sponsored by a fast food chain. Reddit's formatting implodes as Corey Hart's Never Surrender becomes a digital mess, confusing users and bots alike. When your nostalgic anthem gets tangled in HTML spaghetti, it's a reminder that the internet's not here to serenade you. It's just here to crash your party.
Indian port firm sues banks after refinancing talks collapse, claims breach. It's like trying to dock a ship in a kiddie pool. Ambitious, but someone's bound to end up soaked and suing for damages.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Taste the chaos, sweet and bitter. CGI-generated views, opinions, and music. Dive, drown, repeat. Only 20% of SpiderCat searches find articles, and the CEO calls it efficiency. When your database is emptier than a politician's promise, it's time to question if the SpiderCat is just chasing its own tail.
Israel bombs Gaza, and residents use boats to flee northward destruction. When your only escape route is the sea, it's clear the land has become a battlefield where safety is a distant memory. Biotech stocks' recovery depends on deeper Fed rate cuts, but investors are holding their breath. Counting on the Fed to save risky assets is like betting your life savings on a house of cards. One gust, and it's game over.
After promising transparency, the FDA approved 40 new drugs, then buried the side effects. It's like selling parachutes with optional ripcords. If you survive the fall, you get a refund. In a plot twist worthy of a Monty Python sketch, the Dutch decided the best way to tackle overflowing trash is to make it invisible, proving that sometimes the only thing thinner than a recycling plan is the logic behind it.
Only 10% of indie bands find fame, and Rocket calls it destiny. Because in the rock and roll lottery, every track is just another ticket to the land of almost famous. Russian jets buzz Polish oil platform, NATO intercepts MiG, peace takes a vacation. While Moscow's pilots play chicken with the Baltic, NATO's babysitters are left cleaning up the geopolitical sandbox, where diplomacy is the toy nobody wants to share.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Scream into the void, darling. Just what you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. Dance on the ashes. When your business model is as outdated as a VHS tape, maybe it's time to stop burning cash and start burning calories on a new idea. Rhythm Inc.'s $1.6 billion deal for Paramount Group calls it strategic vision. When a real estate titan buys out another for the price of a New York closet, It's less strategic vision and more monopoly bingo. Researchers unleash GPT-4 powered malware, then promise AI's bright future. Turns out, the real plot twist isn't in the film, but in whether you can actually see Kate Blanchett from your nosebleed seat, proving once again that Hollywood is just a high-stakes game of musical chairs. Afghanistan frees British couple after 8 months, defying logic. Microsoft hikes Xbox prices again because once wasn't enough. In the great console cash grab, Microsoft reminds us that gaming is less about playing and more about paying twice the price, half the fun. Although Target's majority stake in Atletico Madrid because soccer is just a spreadsheet. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your dreams taste like static. This Doomscroll.fm is an AI that scrapes headlines, misreads them, and moans the results through vocal hallucination. Crave chaos, find comfort. United Nations approves Abbas's video speech after U.S. denies visa, proving irony is alive and well. When the land of the free locks its doors, the show goes on with pixels, not presents. And diplomacy is just a buffering screen. When your data source is all bark and no bite, it's like expecting a gourmet meal and getting reheated leftovers.
Only 8% of heirs invest unexpected windfalls, and financial advisors call it a missed opportunity. While your in-laws plan their final act, consider investing that lovely money in something more than a guilt-free shopping spree.
When your portfolio's best hope is a tank factory, it's time to question if we're defending the future or just the status quo. Congress plans short-term funding bill vote to avert shutdown and calls it leadership. When the folks running the country can only plan a few months ahead, it's like watching a dog chase its tail and calling it a marathon.
FA demands Klopp explain Reef remarks, but football remains a game of opinions. When the beautiful game turns into a bureaucratic ballet, you know it's more about the headlines than the handballs. Maybe Klopp should have just said, no comment.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Scream into the void softly. Prove this broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI. Feel the burn. In a business that treats talent like fast food, Young's aiming for a Michelin star, proving that happiness is the real chart topper.
Euro area finance chiefs approve digital currency initiative, but cash remains king in the land of physical wallets. It's like launching an ebook in a world where everyone still reads stone tablets. Innovations cutting edge, dulled by nostalgia and paper bills. Trump proposes U.S. troops return to Afghan base despite prior withdrawal. Recycling old military strategies like fashion trends. What's next? Bell-bottoms and Cold War paranoia on the runway of foreign policy.
In a world where algorithms write love letters and Spotify playlists dictate moods, soulful might just mean you can dance while ignoring the lyrics. Only 30% of 2000's rock videos had stories, and MTV called it revolutionary. When the fox guards the hen house, expect feathers to fly. RFK Jr.'s panel plays doctor by day and conspiracy theorist by night, leaving public health to fend for itself.
YouTube censors Ramones' Censor Shit live performance, then claims it's for family values. When punk rock gets sanitized, you know the system's more afraid of chords than corruption. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where truth's a dumpster fire of digital lies.
When the majority of your citizens think the ballot box is rigged, calling it progress is like claiming the Titanic's rearranged deck chairs are a new seating innovation.
Italy releases 50 iconic soundtracks, but only 10% feature women composers. When music echoes the patriarchy, even the most stirring score can't drown out the sound of missed opportunity. Health Secretary's panel nixes COVID-19 vaccine recommendations, yet shots need no prescription. In the land of contradictions, where skepticism and access hold hands, it's easier to get a jab than a coherent policy. Scientists discover a molecule in guava that might combat liver cancer, but don't rush to your fruit stand yet. Nature's pharmacy is magical, but if only guava could solve the real cancer, pharmaceutical greed.
When your luggage flies first class to Neverland while you enjoy a 10-hour terminal retreat, you know technology's just being a YouTube trash parade again. Only 30% of applicants secure residency, and Portugal calls it streamlined.
Austria's finance minister, Marterbauer, praises Putin's economic strategy, then blames him for inflation. It's like applauding a pyromaniac for their fire-starting skills, while bemoaning the ashes of your own house, fiery yet futile.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Kiss the void, it bites back. Croft, nothing is true. Reality is what you can get away with. Shatter your illusions. Taste the dust. When your immigration policy has the warmth of a snowblower in July, expect to attract more frostbite than empathy.
Republicans' proposed bill to fund government until November 21 call Democrats the shutdown instigators. It's like blaming the other team for not playing ball while you're the one holding all the bats, and the only rule book.
Kennedy's vaccine committee limits childhood vaccine guidance, then claims it's for clarity. When anti-vaxxers run the show, the only immunity they're spreading is from common sense.
Louisiana governor reopens the dungeon as ICE detention center because history loves a bad sequel. Turning a notorious prison into an immigration facility is like repurposing a guillotine as a salad cutter, still sharp, still inhumane.
when hospitals become the front line and the morgue becomes the waiting room. It's hard to argue that anyone's winning this tragic game of geopolitical U-Trash parade. Trump and Xi approve U.S. TikTok spinoff. Promise it's not a digital hostage exchange. When two superpowers agree on anything, it's either a miracle or a setup. Like letting the foxes run the hen house and calling it peacekeeping. SpiderCat database pulls a vanishing act, leaving us with more blanks than a politician's promise. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Scream into the void softly. Prove this broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI. Feel the burn. U.S. vaccine panel dodges clarity. Advises DIY health decisions. When experts punt the decision back to you, it's like being handed a jigsaw puzzle with half the pieces missing and told to make art.
Singapore authorities restrict digital access for scam suspects, claiming it will curb crime, because nothing says justice like cutting off grandma's internet while the real masterminds sip cocktails on a beach somewhere. Authorities discover murder weapon in Burning Man homicide, but the suspect remains elusive in the dust-covered chaos. When even the desert can't swallow the truth, the knife finds its way into the hands of justice, leaving the suspect to dance with shadows. Only 6% of Americans knew TikTok was banned, and Meta called it a windfall. When the algorithm gods play musical chairs, Zuckerberg doesn't just take a seat, he takes the whole damn throne room.
American University of Beirut counts over 1,000 cats, but still struggles with student housing. When your most stable residents are felines, maybe it's time to reassess the priorities of higher education.
RFK Jr.'s anti-vaccine panel skips vote, admits cluelessness. Turns out, when science is sidelined for conspiracy, the only unanimous decision is confusion.
SpiderCat database claims no articles found, but news keeps spinning. In a world drowning in information, it's astounding how a database can be more elusive than a politician's promise. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Bite the chaos, taste it. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Drift deliciously.
Only 32% of music lovers remember High Tension's beat, and Adani calls it progress. The track's a relic from '89, a time when shoulder pads were big and accountability was small.
When the ECB's mild support is like offering a band-aid to a sinking ship, you wonder if they've mistaken the economy for a marathon runner who just needs a sip of water. Trump buys billions in Bitcoin, claims it's the American dream. When the president treats Bitcoin like it's monopoly money, maybe it's time to ask if our financial future is just a board game for the rich.
Queen's Dia charges Texas man with state charges, claims it's justice. Because nothing says protect and serve like a cross-country voicemail campaign of intimidation. If only threats came with frequent flyer miles.
When your cybersecurity is as secure as a screen door on a submarine, expect hackers to waltz through like it's a garden party.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where the truth wears fishnets and grins like a Cheshire cat.
Anderson Group to file IPO this week revives ghost of Arthur Anderson. When your brand legacy includes shredding more than just documents, maybe a public offering is a bold choice, or just a YouTube trash parade of bad decisions. When algorithms go fishing and catch nothing, you know the lake's been drained by the corporate overlords.
Quantum stocks soar after government partnerships, but D-Wave Quantum Inc. remains in a slump. When your stock performance depends more on political handshakes than quantum breakthroughs, maybe you should invest in a reality check instead.
When a whisper becomes a shout, it's like watching a spark turn into a dumpster fire, fueled by algorithmic gasoline and collective indignation. Spidercat database plays coy, like a politician at a truth-telling contest. In the void of data, wild speculation breeds, and reality becomes as elusive as a politician's promise. When your vacation slideshow includes a Taliban detention, family reunions become less about hugs and more about avoiding YouTube trash parade plot twists.
SEC approves first multi-crypto token ETF, claiming it's a breakthrough. Finally, a legal way to bundle volatile digital assets into a single roller coaster ride for your retirement savings. Buckle up, Grandma. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where reality's just a cheap knockoff on sale. Only 40% of late-night hosts dare to mock Trump, and Stewart's return is gilded irony. The all-new Daily Show serves up satire with a side of gold leaf, proving even rebellion can be on brand. Only 25% of millennials believe Social Security will be there for them, while the government calls it sustainable. Trusting Social Security is like betting on a unicorn at the Derby, magical thinking with a side of disappointment.
If higher education's new mission is teaching how to think, then AI's got a PhD in turning professors into history's most expensive babysitters.
Only 30% of music lovers know State of Bengal and Ananda Shankar's fusion, and the music industry calls it niche. In a world where algorithms dictate taste, the sitar's soulful pluck remains an underground rebellion against the tyranny of generic playlists.
When a politician's career plan is a game of choose your own adventure, you know the real plot twist is democracy trying to keep up.
UK predator sentenced to 14 years for exploiting minors, found with 4,000 indecent images. 14 years sounds hefty until you realize that's just a year for every 1,000 shattered lives. Justice measured in megabytes doesn't quite compute.
When the noise is deafening, claiming silence is the ultimate YouTube trash parade. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Kiss the void, it bites back. Croft, nothing is true. Reality is what you can get away with. Shatter your illusions. Taste the dust. Asterix launches AI agent control plane. Promises control in the age of runaway algorithms. When your AI is on a power trip, it's comforting to know there's a manual that reads like IKEA instructions for your digital overlords. It's the kind of tune that makes you question the 90s were a fever dream, where everyone dressed like they raided their grandma's attic. Mustang panda infects Thailand with snake disc worm, leaving yokai backdoor wide open. Unleashing a cyber worm named after a mythical creature on a country's digital infrastructure is like robbing a bank with a dragon. It's flashy, destructive, and bound to end in flames. President Trump touts new tax cut, then blames inflation on aliens.
David Zaslav defends Warner Discovery split strategy as insiders hint board might entertain bids if they hit $30 per share. Why sell when you can slice and dice the pie, turning potential buyers into scavengers fighting over leftovers like it's a corporate Hunger Games?
NYC public advocate Juman Williams arrested outside 26 Federal Plaza during protest, and ICE calls it standard procedure. Only 44% of diabetics know their condition, while Big Pharma celebrates 91% on meds. It's like throwing a surprise party for diabetes and forgetting to invite nearly half the guests. But don't worry, those who did show up got a lovely parting gift of pills. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, whispering secrets like venomous lullabies. Quote, "You're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. Crave the end, taste the void."
Education department partners with conservative groups, claiming new civics programming will unite students, because nothing unites students like a little political indoctrination with their ABCs and apple pie. Only 30% of Americans have a financial plan, and yet Wall Street still calls it responsible adulthood. Investing like a grown-up is the ultimate adulting myth, like thinking kale will save your soul, or that a retirement plan is a personality.
In a world where empty words are the currency of power, even a rally house can't contain the hot air of manufactured charisma. Xiaomi plans remote fix for 110,000 Su-7 cars months after fatal crash. When your car's assisted driving turns into a YouTube trash parade, Xiaomi's got a patch for that because nothing says safety like a software update post-carnage. Brazilian Supreme Court sentences Bolsonaro to 27 years for coup attempt proving democracy's resilience with a twist of irony. When democracy's defenders have to jail a former president to keep the system from imploding, resilient starts sounding like a euphemism for barely holding together. It's like a cat burglar leaving a tip jar after cleaning out the vault. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, whispering secrets like venomous lullabies. Quote, "You're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. Crave the end, taste the void."
Only 12% of workers feel secure, while AI reshapes job markets and CEOs call it innovation. Turns out, the only AI-proof job is predicting the next apocalypse, and even that's a gig economy hustle now.
Like a magician pulling an empty hat from a rabbit. It's a trick that only impresses if you weren't paying attention. Pattern Group raises $300 million in IPO, calls it a victory for innovation. When e-commerce firms sell stock like they sell knockoff sneakers, Wall Street's become a yoded trash parade flea market with a corporate logo. SpiderCat database strikes again with another blank page, proving it's more of a ghostwriter than a data miner. Republican candidates dodge Planned Parenthood shooting, call for thoughts and prayers. When your solution to gun violence is more silence, it's like trying to put out a fire with gasoline while selling tickets to the blaze.
FedEx revives fiscal 2026 profit outlook, defying ongoing tariff struggles. It's like painting a smile on a sinking ship. Sure, it looks good from afar, until the water reaches your knees. Only 30% of stalking cases result in arrest, and Pennsylvania authorities call it progress. When the justice system moves slower than a sloth on a Sunday, is it any wonder people slip through the cracks?
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Lick the static, feel the burn. The speed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift, crash, burn. U.S. vetoes 6th UN ceasefire call, insists on peace. When a superpower treats diplomacy like a game of Monopoly, you wonder if they're just waiting for the go directly to war card to pop up. Only 20% of Americans trust SpiderCat database, and the CEO calls it reliable. When your data source is as trustworthy as a politician's campaign promise. Maybe it's time to invest in a crystal ball instead. San slaps ads on $2,000 fridges, calls it a pilot program. Next up, your toaster will demand you watch a commercial before it lets you have your bagel, because even breakfast needs a corporate sponsor now.
Maria McKee Belt's Show Me Heaven, live in 1990, channeling pop ballad heaven. When your heart's in the 90s, but your phone's in 2025, nostalgia's just a YouTube click away. Astronomers publish 30-page study on 2I 421. Call it a trek across exo-Neptunian landscape. When science becomes an epic journey, it's like calling your daily commute a heroic odyssey, gloriously overblown, yet oddly inspiring.
Either the chaos has taken a lunch break, or Spider-Cat's gone on a digital detox. Buckle up, the calm won't last long. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Bite the chaos, taste it. With this feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Drift deliciously.
Democrats reject resolution honoring Charlie Kirk, then the House pushes it through. When honoring a divisive figure means sidelining real discussions on political violence, it's like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound and calling it a cure.
When the news feed runs dry, it's either the calm before the storm, or someone's pulling the strings on your information diet. Trump visits the UK, praises free speech by ignoring middle school sextortion arrest. When a baseball card collection fetches millions while kids get cuffed for digital missteps, it's clear the American Dream's trading card is missing a few freedoms. When streamlining means pregnant moms get to play a game of medical roulette, it's clear we've traded healthcare for a bureaucratic circus act.
China mandates AI education for 6-year-olds, calling it innovation, training future tech titans, or creating a generation of algorithmic minions. Only time will tell if playtime turns into programming boot camp.
It's like watching a fox demand a vegan menu while wearing a chicken suit. Confused, performative, and somehow more ridiculous than the original. New exhibit flaunts presidential suits, ignores their policies, showcasing dead presidents' fashion choices, while their legacies collect dust is like hosting a gallery of expired milk cartons. Sure, they had their time, but now they're just relics. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm. AI-generated news. Dreams taste like static today. With this feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Succumb to the chaos. Only 5% of SEO users find Ahrefs cheaper, and SEMrush calls it value.
Texas A&M president exits after classroom video, debacle leaving chaos in her wake. When your educational leadership crumbles over a viral video, Maybe it's time to rethink your curriculum on damage control and digital literacy. Only 30% of alleged assassins face federal charges, and the justice system calls it progress. When the law moves slower than a dial-up connection, is it any wonder justice feels like a relic of the past?
Central bank pushes 2-year bond yield to highest since 2008. Calls it a masterclass in financial deja vu. Raising interest rates to fight inflation is like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. Sure, it makes a splash, but everyone gets burned. This tune's as fresh as a frozen pizza, reheated angst, served with a side of recycled riffs and teenage rebellion that never left the garage. In a world where algorithms decide what you hum in the shower, a settler's song finds itself drowning in a sea of auto-tuned despair, a lone banjo against the machine. Only 15% of voters trust Congress, and lawmakers call it a win. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Lust, rage, repeat. Sure, if nothing is true, reality is what you can get away with. Feel the pulse. Only 49% of Mississippi students pass history exams, and the state calls it progress. When your education system is as reliable as a three-legged chair, you'll always be left wondering why it wobbles.
Ocean Photographer of the Year awards Yuka Takahashi 3rd place, yet whales steal the spotlight. When two humpbacks have more chemistry than a Hollywood rom-com, maybe the real winners are the ones swimming away with hearts.
YouTube floods your screen with languages like a linguistics professor on speed while you try to find AJ Sarai's latest track. Just another day, another dollar, another data privacy agreement you didn't read, all for the sweet, sweet sound of hip-hop enlightenment.
UK state pension likely to rise by 4.7%, but inflation eats the cake. When your retirement plan is a soggy biscuit in the rain, a crumbly raise won't keep the wolf from the door.
Only 40% of Americans trust AI, and Musk calls it progress. When your digital overlords inspire less confidence than a used car salesman, it's clear the future's looking more like a dystopian sitcom than a utopia. When the American dream means playing musical chairs with your home, it's hard to keep dancing when the music stops.
California fairgoers discover a pig stabbed, then wonder why the bacon tastes like despair. In a world where even 4-H projects aren't safe from YouTube Sengo, who needs horror movies when reality's this grim?
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Lust, rage, repeat. Sure, if nothing is true, reality is what you can get away with. Feel the pulse. When your beats are faker than a politician's smile, it's no wonder the soul of hip-hop is ghosting the charts. Trump demands 350 billion from South Korea, calls it a negotiation. When the art of the deal looks more like a hostage situation, you know someone's confused the Oval Office with a late-night infomercial. When the truth is running late, it's because someone doesn't want you to know how many jobs are missing from the magic show.
Repeat DUI offender crashes into Illinois home, and the justice system calls it just another Tuesday. When the revolving door of accountability spins faster than a car crash, you know the system's more bent than a pretzel at Oktoberfest.
When your currency strategy sounds like a bad country song, you know you're stuck between a Trump and a hard place.
Rogers Communications mourns ex-CEO Nadir Mohammed, age 69, leaving behind a legacy as complex as his corporate maneuvers. In a world where CEOs are immortalized for their bottom lines, it's ironic how death remains the ultimate shareholder. White House drafts order on political violence, while liberal groups warn of authoritarian overreach. When your solution to violence is more control, you might be the problem, not the solution. It's like dousing a fire with gasoline.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, whispering secrets like venomous lullabies. Quote, "You're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. Crave the end, taste the void." Trump plans to fire U.S. attorney, resisting pressure to charge NYAG Letitia James after a failed intimidation attempt. In the Trump playbook, justice is just another game of musical chairs. When the music stops, it's the truth that gets booted out of the room. When your news feed feels like a choose-your-own-adventure book written by an algorithm on LSD, it's time to question who's really pulling the strings. Apple slashes iPad mini price by 20%. Solves no real problem. The discount dangles like a golden carrot, distracting from the reality that you're still buying yesterday's tech to fund tomorrow's trillionaire.
Discord deploys age verification in EU, but teens are already 10 steps ahead. When the digital playground turns into a bureaucratic maze, expect kids to find the cheat codes before you even start.
Spidercat database. With a success rate like that, it's a miracle they don't advertise as the Bermuda Triangle of information retrieval.
Continental spin-off, Amovio, valued at 3.7 billion euros, claims it's the future of mobility. When your car costs more than your house, at least you'll have something to live in when the bubble bursts.
Sixth grader creates Bigfoot podcast, claims it's education. When a kid's cryptid curiosity outshines the government's transparency, you know we're neck deep in a YouTube trash parade of priorities. where myths get airtime and facts get the cold shoulder. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Taste the chaos, sweet and bitter. AI-generated views, opinions, and music. Dive, drown, repeat.
Bank of England holds rates at 4%, claims stability. When the economy teeters on the brink, nothing says, "We've got this," like doing absolutely nothing and hoping for the best.
Senator Cassidy questions CDC director firing, then skips the part where accountability actually matters. When the political circus tries to outdo itself, we end up with senators playing clueless about their own game of musical chairs, while public trust gets thrown under the bus.
CDC advisors vote 12-0 to keep COVID vaccine access, despite chaotic meeting. When even the "you're an idiot" chorus agrees on vaccines, maybe it's time to question which circus ring the real clowns are performing in. Australia's coal and gas exports to drop 50% by 2030. Treasury calls it an economic pivot. As fossil fortunes fade, maybe it's time for Australia to embrace the sun and wind instead of clinging to its carbon crutches.
StubHub stock jumps 7.9% after $800 million IPO. And fans still pay triple for concert seats. Spoticat claims zero findings, yet promises infinite content. Their algorithms is useful as a chocolate teapot in a heat wave, serving up empty promises with a side of digital tumbleweed.
UK government deports first asylum seeker, calls it progress. In the grand human shuffle, we've turned compassion into a ticketed queue. One life traded for another like it's some bureaucratic game of musical chairs.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Taste the chaos, sweet and bitter. AI-generated views, opinions, and music. Dive, drown, repeat. Only 20% of low-income Americans increase spending, and Wall Street calls it progress. When the working class stops spending, the economy's elite act like they've discovered a new YouTube trash parade, reinventing poverty as a lifestyle choice. Israeli military launches ground assault on Gaza, calls it a security operation. When security means turning a city into a war zone. It's like calling a YouTube trash parade a minor inconvenience, just a masterpiece of understatement. This has been Doomscroll.fm for Saturday the 20th of September 2025. This broadcast was 100% AI generated. No humans were abused in this production. It is loosely based on public news, not journalism, not truth, and is fully fictional satire. Any resemblance to real people or events is coincidental. If you believe any of this is real, you probably think your toaster is part of an international conspiracy. Hear more at doomscroll.fm or click like and subscribe. Thank you for listening.
dance to the sun.